I write books. There's several of my titles are on the table over there. My last book went to number 5 in the Scottish charts, so I do something right at home. Although I was kept away from the number 1 spot by Sean Connery. He was at number 1 when I was at number 5. And he phoned me up and he said, "Yes, David, I'm at number 1, you're only at number 5, haha." Always amazes me, Sean, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether he's in the hunt for Red October and a Russian submarine captain or he's a New York cop. "Yes, I am a Russian submarine captain, you know, I'm a New York cop." Just exactly the same in everything he does, you know, but he's probably the most famous Scotsman living, so I shouldn't knock him. Anyway, before Albinak come on, I'm going to do a few minutes here to fill you in on Scottish culture and what we're sort of really all about. As I say, I'm a writer. My books sort of go into real depth about Scottish history, I suppose. I hope a light-hearted way, but I'll do some bits and pieces here and hopefully enlighten you a little, especially as I see the theme of this Ren Fair is basically Scotland in the early 1300s in the time of Robert the Bruce, our great hero king. First of all, you may recognise this as the flag of Scotland, our national flag, and it isn't a case of someone like Liberace going, "Oh, let's go for the white and the blue." You know, there is a story behind this, and there's a reason that we have this flag as our own. It wasn't something that people picked. What you might actually be surprised to know is that this is the oldest flag in the planet, or at least the oldest still in existence, of course. I'm sure ancient peoples had banners and things like that. But this flag came into being in the year 832, so we're talking the best part of 1,200 years ago. And the story is that there was an army of Scots being chased through Lothian in southeast Scotland by a much larger Northern English army. We're very unlucky in our neighbours, unfortunately. We have the neighbours from hell in Scotland, so it's a wee bit unfortunate. You'll notice that I razz the English a lot from the stage, but as a Scotsman it's my duty. So I'd get shot down in flames if I didn't. I like to be brutal towards the English, it's only fair. And there was an English woman in the front of the audience the other day, and she said, "Yes, you Scots used to come over the border and steal our cattle, didn't you?" I said, "Actually, we came south to steal your women, but we had one look at them and home with the cows, you know." So. Anyway, this is the flag of our country. And an army of Scots, as I say, were being chased through Lothian in southeast Scotland. And they decided to make a stand and die fighting like men rather than be cut to ribbons by this much larger English army. And as they stood there above this ford over a river, a defensive spot, it was a summer's day and a huge white cross. Now this is legend, I wasn't actually there, believe it or not. Jamesy was there, but I wasn't. But there was a huge white cross appeared in the summer sky. And the Scots said, "Look, it's a sign from God, it's the cross of St Andrew," because St Andrew was crucified in an X-shaped cross at Patria in Greece. So the Scots saw this sign, took heart from it and attacked the English as they crossed the river. And I think much to their own surprise, there was a great slaughter and they won the day. The English king got killed in the process. His name was Athelstan, and the wee village that stands on the site today is called Athelstan Ford, after the English king as he died crossing the river. So, you know, there is actually a place name associated with us. There is a wee visitor centre there, as you can imagine, and there is a plaque in the ground and it says, "Here was the flag of Scotland born." So the Scots took a representation of that event, the cross of St Andrew in the blue summer sky, to always remind us that we can always come through even against overwhelming odds. And from that day on, St Andrew became the patron saint of Scotland, and of course has been ever since. And so this flag goes wherever Scots have gone in the planet. I see it fly here in people's backyards sometimes with the stars and stripes. I'd like to think that nobody sees it as a flag of oppression. We do like a fight, but we generally tend to keep it amongst ourselves at the best of times, you know. We're too busy fighting each other at the best of times to get it together with anyone else. And of course the Irish are the same bloodline as us, and they're even better at fighting than we are, and that's saying something. In fact, I met the Reverend Ian Paisley one time. He's an Irish politician, and I said to him, "What is it you're fighting for over in Ireland, Reverend?" And he said, "We're fighting for a cause." And I said, "What sort of cause is that?" And he said, "'Cause we want to." Now, one time I was doing one of these shows up in New Hampshire, and a guy came up to me and spoke to me in a weird alien tongue. I'd never heard the like. You know, I'm quite good with languages, but I'd never heard anything like this. Someone later explained to me that he was from New Jersey. And he said to me, "Hey there, Flapjack, how come you just got 2 flags, huh?" And this was, I think, what he meant, because wherever Scots go, of course, in these festivals, you see this as well. Now, I know this isn't a great example, but I was up and down every flagpole in the place, and this was the only one I could reach. So, this is the other flag that people associate with Scotland, and people wonder why we have 2. Well, the reason being is the blue and white saltire, as we call it, is our national flag. This is actually a war standard, and it was flown behind the King of Scots by his standard bearer when we went into battle. And so we have a particular affiliation for this as well, although it's not our national flag. And there's a story behind this one as well. It's an old flag in itself. It goes back to the 1100s, whereas our national flag dates back to the 800s. And the King of Scots at the time was William I. He's known in our history books as William the Lion now. And it was the time of the Crusades, and somebody had brought him back a couple of lions from the Crusades, and he kept them in Stirling Castle. There's a part of Stirling Castle today still called the Lion's Den. And nobody in Scotland had ever seen a lion, because we never had the Animal Channel on cable at that particular time back in the 1100s. So folk were like, "Look at these big hairy dogs. Oh, it's away with his leg," and things like that, you know. And we were well impressed. And so the king said, "I want one on my war standard." And so a lion standing on its back legs clawing in heraldry is called rampant. Lion rampant, that's which is what it is, you know. So a red lion in either a yellow or gold background, but this was the battle standard. And it shows you how things have changed. As a historian, I find it fascinating that in medieval times, what made you famous was your ability to fight. There's no other reason people are in history books. From Genghis Khan to William Wallace, it was your ability to fight. Whereas in this day and age, you can be famous for being a doctor, a lawyer, a politician, or an artist, or whatever. Yeah. It was your ability to fight. So you wanted to be seen on the battlefield. So, you know, you would have things painted on your shields, standards and things like that, so that folk would notice you. Whereas the military in this day and age do everything in their power not to be seen. It's funny how it's sort of gone full circle. But that's the other particular flag. You'll notice the guys in the band, and I should maybe explain the name. The name for our country, as you can see on my arm here, is Alba. And so Albanach just means the Scottish or the Scottish people, Alba being the country in our language. Now, you'll notice the guys, myself, all wear this garment, which is called the Phillimore in Gaelic, the Great Kilt. And a perfect garment for the Highlands of Scotland, but for the heat here, you know, it's a wee bit. Some of the insects you have here, as a couple of times I've been sitting with the guys, and I'm sure hamsters with wings have flown by and things like that. They get bitten to death, you know, and they must be like, "White settler, come and taste this. It's been a couple of 100 years, you know." So we wear this garment, the Phillimore, the Great Kilt, and there are 9 yards of material in this, hence the expression, the full 9 yards, that people use all over the world to talk about the full 9 yards. Now, it's just a large rectangle of material, and it just depends how you wear it, really. Some of the guys wear it differently, and they just put it on. Jackie in the band wears it in the female fashion, where you wear a petticoat underneath, and that's called an arisade, but it's the same garment, just folded differently. Now, what we do in the morning is you get up and you put it out, this big rectangle of material, and you go a yard in from the side, and you pull it in pleats, so there's a yard of pleats, yard of material, yard of pleats, yard of material at the other side. You then lie down so it's at knee level, and you put the yard of material at either side over like 2 aprons. Got to watch I don't do a Sharon Stone here. So you've got a yard of material at either end, and basically the pleats are at the back, although I don't know how it looks. Great for the Highlands, not great for sitting in a Chrysler. Now, the reason we wear so much material is this is your tent, it's your sleeping bag, it's everything you need when you were out as an army or out as, you know, the clan on the march. You didn't need to carry all this baggage with you, so we could move pretty damn fast over mountain country. Your legs are loose, you know, we come from a country where men are men and sheep are frightened, you know, so it's quite loose, you know, quick ease of access, you know, so we've got about the world a wee bit. The reason we wear so much material is you just need to take your belt off, and basically it falls to the ground, you wrap yourself up in it and go to sleep, and because it's wool, even if it's wet, it keeps you very, very warm. The other thing is that all this excess material, of course, as I say, you use it as a sleeping bag at night or whatever, but you can just wrap it around you in any way that you need to. This is James's particular favourite. He likes this look. He likes the Sister Teresa, but don't you, James? What's his form? Start to move down. So you can wear it in lots of different ways. We would just wear it short in the summer, long in the winter. When you walk into water, it floats and it fans out round about you. And so basically when you walk out the other side of a river, it just dries and you don't get chafed the way you would do in cotton pants or denim jeans. And of course, if you've actually got to swim, it's actually buoyant and it's like a circle round about you. So it works for our particular country. The tartan thing is just basically the Scottish way. It's not that far removed, I suppose, from a toga or other types of early dress. And so it sort of suits our mentality. As you see, some of the boys have to wear it longer than others, but there's a reason for that. But the women here already know that a man in a kilt's a man and a half anyway, you know, so we know you all know that. We tend to be a sort of warrior race, so we carry various weapons as well. You'll notice that most of the guys and women carry a traditional knife, which we call a dirk, D-I-R-K. And you know, the McDonald Lords of the Isles hadn't got into making burgers at this point. You didn't get the plastic cutlery. So you needed something like this to basically cut your meat at fire. And it was an everyday tool as well. It's sharp down one side, half sharp in the other, and you've got a bit there for leverage. This end could be used for attitude adjustment, which is what we sort of basically use it for. And we used to sit up at night and carve things, you know. And if you're suffering an acid flashback from the 70s or you're particularly drunk, this might look a bit like a thistle, which is our national flower. Now, you'll notice there's a groove down the blade where it thickens there, and you see that in a lot of modern sort of kitchen knives and things like that as well. It's become traditional to have a groove down there. But we invented everything. I'll give Edison the light bulb, but we invented everything else, I'm afraid, you know, tarmac, you name it, you know. So, anyway, after John McAdam, who invented roads and all the rest of it, television, the telephone, you name it. I'm afraid we did it all. But the Irish would have taken over the world, but unfortunately strong alcoholic drink was invented and that's what kept them back, you know. But the reason we have this groove down blades is because human flesh is actually quite sticky. And if you've got this stuck between your enemy's ribs, you find that you don't want to get your boots all messy standing on them to get it out. But we found when we put this wee groove in, there's a vacuum isn't created, and it goes, and it comes out nice and clean, you see, and you can move on to the next one. But I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce these boys here. They're a pipe and drum band. If you haven't seen them before, you're in for a treat. Can I ask, is there much Scottish blood in this audience? Can I see a wee show of hands? Yep, there's a few out there. See, there's only 5 million of us in Scotland, but they say that there's 22 million people of Scots blood in the States alone. So more than 4.5 times as many Scots in America. Now what these guys do is they play the pipes and drums, not like you've seen a pipe band play, which is a sort of army-related sort of regimental thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But what these guys do is they play it in the loose, rough style that it was played in the glens. And we would play this sort of music on the battlefield. And if you can imagine being full of Scotch whisky, and you know, you're full of Scotch whisky, this noise is going on in the background, and there's an army of Englishmen to kill. Days don't get much better than that, you know what I mean? And I would just like to share a wee diet with you as well. We have a diet in Scotland, and I see you're into diets here. When I'm in Walmart, next to the checkout, you always see all these diets in magazines. But the perfect one, I'll tell you, is you can see the boys all quite slim. And the reason being is because we have this diet in Scotland, the Scotch whisky diet, and it's a wonderful diet. I've been on it 12 days and I've lost a week already. It's just wonderful. But these guys play the drums and pipes in the battlefield style, and I'm sure it can make your blood boil because that's what it was meant to do. As I say, I've been an author, yeah, still am, and your book's on the table there along with the band's merchandise. We're happy to sign anything you may want, and just there's some Scottish blood out there, but just for everyone that's here, basically I'd just like to say, behold, I see my father, I see my mother, I see my sisters, my brothers, I see the bloodline go back through the days of Bruce and Wallace to the very first Scot. They called to me, and one day I will join them in the land of Turnanog, where the heroes and patriots of Scotland live forever.